removing work from my plate, literally quitting a job. Stress is just so big for me. Like, I am so sensitive to stress. I just don't get it. Like, I just don't understand. Good morning. Big news. Ignore the baby. Ignore the baby crying. She's just getting dressed. She doesn't like getting dressed. But here's my big news. She's 16 months old. I can finally officially drink from my mug because my postpartum period is here. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited to be doing this particular episode today. I am gonna be talking to you about my postpartum period recovery. It's been a huge day already. I've been deep into writing the protein module of our holistic hypothalamic amenorrhea practitioner course that Ashley and I are launching in March. If you are interested at all in becoming a recovery coach as well, or learning everything that there is to know about being able to help women in recovery, this course is gonna be fire. I'm so just like pumped up and full of energy from just having written that module today. And I'm currently working on like doing 1 to 2 of them a week in the lead up to when it launches in March. It's gonna be full on. And then I have to record a bunch of the audio Ash and I are doing together. A big chunk of it is going to be all audio based, like an audiobook based class so that people can listen on the go. Cause you know how like with a course you buy, if it's video based, you're gonna like, you have to find time to sit down and watch these videos. Well, no, so we made it like it's 80-90% audio based that you can do at your own pace. And then there's only live classes for like info sessions or something that really needs to be taught live, like the fertility awareness charting stuff. So about the practitioner course, guys, it's gonna be the first of its kind. The other hormone certifications, I feel like they barely even touch it. Sometimes the ones I've done, sometimes they don't even say the words amenorrhea, they'll just be like lost cycles. So I just believe that this course that we're working on is just going to be huge for the industry. So I hope that you are interested in being a part of the beta version because it's gonna be fire. It's going to be fire. But I digress. Today, I want to talk to you about my period. All right, I have done a video in the past about postpartum periods in general, the research, what to do, how to kind of look at your postpartum period. Is it taking too long to come back? Like what things should you consider? All of which I took on board in my own journey. So I will link that video below. If I forget to, it's in my playlist somewhere, postpartum recovery. But here is what happened to me. So it might be a fair assumption to think that like, I am so far through this whole recovery thing, I coach on it, yada, yada, that it would have been a non-issue and that my period would have come back immediately. But no, that is not reality at all. So I'm gonna start with telling you about my postpartum and first year as a baby mama. So the delivery, right? I have a whole episode on that if you at all are interested. I gave birth extremely sick with a certain very well-known virus. I developed chorioamnionitis and pneumonia. So I was super duper sick and I still had a totally natural birth. Well, sorry, that's not true. I mean a vaginal birth. I totally used the epidural. I was so sick. I was like, give me that right now. I was also alone for my experience. So I truly think that going into that very much affected at least the first 3 to 6 months of my postpartum. I didn't have postpartum depression or blues, but I certainly recovered slower and I think my body just really took a hit and I was just super nutrient depleted. I had lost a lot of weight. It was just a tough thing for my body to go through. And so knowing that I have a very sensitive body, it's not at all surprising that I'm just like intensely nutrient deprived at that point. Then I had this newborn baby and no support network. My family live in Australia, I live in Texas, and my husband's family live in California. So it was just us. Yes, we have friends, but we're not very good at asking our friends for help. And it's also just not a big part of culture these days, people just think that they need to parent on their own. And as much as I know that that's not true, it's really hard to act differently, right? And ask for help. So it was just me and Jake, and I also run this business. And although I took a big step back, I still needed to be present, right? Like, this is my other baby. And I just never had a break. So it was like, go, go, go. I definitely did some things that I know don't fully serve me as a way to get through. Like some things that don't serve me in some areas that did serve me in other areas. Like coffee. First thing in the morning after being sleep deprived, and just like the baby needs to eat. Like when you are breastfeeding and pumping, you get up and the first thing you need to do is pump or feed. And the last thing you need to do in the day is pump or feed. And it's really exhausting. And this expectation that you can just like get up and make breakfast for yourself and take it slow and do some journaling and like see the sunshine. Yeah, is no, just no. I used to be that person. Like I used to love those things. And having this baby, I just was tired. I had never sat on my couch as much as I did for the first 6 months of my baby's life. Maybe the first 10 months, because I breastfed all the way through till 10 months, which we'll get to. So I just really changed like as a person. I was more tired. I was more consumed by my kid, and all of that makes perfect sense. But it just meant that I wasn't eating quickly. I was still using a lot of caffeine to kind of get through. And quite frankly, I did that all the way for the first 10 to 11 months of her life. I didn't incorporate exercise for quite some time. So I started training again at a gym with an Olympic weightlifting team when she was 9 months old. And I was breastfeeding less at that point. She was eating more solids and things. So I was significantly breastfeeding less. And so I didn't have to have as much of my time and energy taken up. So it was really like a give and take scale where if I have to breastfeed this much, I was more tired. As I was able to do that less and less, I was able to have more and more room for looking after myself better. So I went to that gym and I started training 1 to 3 times a week, on average 2. And it's still that way, actually. I took it really slow. I'm still taking it really slow. I'm nowhere near the intensity or weights that I used to do, and probably will never do that again anyways. Not my intention, but my intention was to have a social interaction. I talk about this in a video or 2 ago. I just don't want to lose the skill of weightlifting. So that's where we're at, right? Postpartum, really intense. Took a really long time just to get some more time and space and energy to be able to look after myself better. And as a result, I was not eating until like, I don't even know, maybe like 8 or 9 in the morning, even though I was getting up really early with my kid, and still do. She will not sleep in past 5:30. Yeah, just doing it tough. Just really doing it tough. Because of this, I had a hunch, a sneaky suspicion that my cycle may not take the minimum amount of time. My cycle might take a while to come back. We know that through the research that average of 6 weeks is how long it takes someone fully weaned to get their period back. Many people get their period back while still breastfeeding, and many need 6 or more weeks. And I knew that I would be in that more spectrum because I am super sensitive, y'all. I lose my period at the slightest weight loss. I get delays, luteal phase challenges, at any kind of sign of stress. It's always really been kind of tough for me, but I knew that because I had lost weight in pregnancy, even though I had gained it back, that combined with nutrient depleted state I was in from pregnancy and from childbirth, and then also because I hadn't been eating, fueling, resting, obviously like sleep, it wasn't that good either for the first 6 months, that those were all going to be contributing factors to my period taking longer for me to get. That being said, I had made a plan. At the end of 10 months, my baby being 10 months old, I weaned the last drop of milk, fully weaned. And that was when I determined that the 6-week clock will begin. And I decided that that 6-week clock was the period of time where I do not need to worry too much about making significant lifestyle changes yet. If 6 weeks comes and goes and I do not see positive progress, signs of a period coming, I need to dig deeper. You know, I came from a perspective of what would I tell a person who inquired with me? What would I tell a listener or someone to do, right? If you're not feeling like you're in a state where you can just suddenly make all these changes, like eating in a certain way and, making changes to your coffee intake, like you're just a bit anxious about doing that. You don't really want to, right? Like I just didn't want to. I had no energy. I gave myself 6 weeks. 6 weeks came and it went nothing. Nada. Not a drop of cervical mucus. I started taking my temperatures. I saw my temperature was quite low, all stuff that it wasn't surprising to me. I had a feeling that I might be looking like that on the chart. So I kind of knew when 6 weeks came that some big changes needed to happen. So what I did was I approached this at make 1 to 2 changes at a time, see what's working, what's not, and add or pivot my plan as I go, just like I would with a client. Here's the thing, this can be really tough emotional stuff. Like you don't want to change your whole life. You don't want to have to gain more weight. You don't want to have to work out less. You don't have to eat first thing in the morning. You're not hungry. Like it's just all these things you just don't want to do, right? I have a lot of compassion for that for people, but I think that we give ourselves more outs than we would give to others. Would I allow a client to treat themselves this way? Would I allow a client to say, I do not deserve to look after myself in this way? I am too addicted to coffee to look after myself in this way. No, I wouldn't, right? So it was really easy for me, having gone through HA recovery a couple of times myself and now being at this point and working with all these women, it's so much easier to say, what would Coach Danny say? And it's really hard to not be in integrity with what you would say to someone else. So a little tip for you is, even though you don't have a coach or you may not be a coach, imagine you have an imaginary coach or just what would I say to you, right? Like if you came to me with this problem and you're like, hey, question for you, what do you think I would say? Do that, right? It's really hard to not act in integrity with that thing. So that's what I did. And that allowed me to push through the discomfort and the I don't really want to, or maybe I'll just wait another week or two. No, you already waited a week or two and it didn't work. You're not seeing any signs of progress. Your temperatures are low. You have no mucus. You have a hunch what this could be. So go down that route. So the first things I did was I changed my coffee consumption down from 3 to 1 cup, and I made sure that I was only having that after I had food. And at the same time, I made sure that I was eating breakfast first thing in the morning. So those were the very first changes that I made. And lo and behold, I did see my first signs of cervical mucus. They were teeny tiny, but I did see them. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna keep trucking. And I went another 2 weeks and nothing more actually happened. I didn't really get more mucus from that. So I realized in that point that I saw a very small sign of progress. I saw that this was something that my body was asking for, but it was asking for more. So I ate more. I realized that as my baby had started to eat food, I was basically just eating her food with her, which is a classic mum move. You don't feed yourself, you only feed them, and you just eat your kids' scraps. Classic. I did that. So I realized, no, I need my own meal. So I started cooking myself a substantial meal as well and eating with her. And that's something I had been meaning to do anyway, because it was important to me that my daughter grow up seeing her mom eat a substantial meal. So it was a really big, important wake-up call for me to be like, you know what, just she's absorbing more than you know, and you're putting her first, but by not putting yourself first, you're not really putting her first. So just get the act together. So I got the act together, started doing that, and I saw another little bit of cervical mucus, but really just really not a lot. And my temperatures were still low. They weren't coming up. And that being said, I was having disrupted sleep because of my daughter. So the temperature readings weren't fully accurate, but they were quite low. And I think that with disrupted sleep, I see more often the temperatures are more high. So if it's the wake up itself causing the issue, they usually present more high, but they were still presenting low. So it was a real sign to me that metabolism is low and things aren't looking so super good. My body is tired. Okay, so then the next change I made was exercise. I went back down from the 3 days and started only doing 1 to 2, lifting really light intensity, barely finishing my program, honestly. And this was partially because I just didn't really feel like training either. I don't train particularly diligently. It's just like, I have so many other things that I'm interested in doing that it just pulls me away a lot of the time. So here's where things really make a huge shift for me. I got to a point where I was able to say wholeheartedly, I have a lot of this under control. I have exercise under control. I am eating enough. I'm eating frequently enough. I'm snacking. I'm sleeping sufficiently as well as I absolutely can. And I'm not overtraining. So what the heck is going on with this desert that I have going on down in I feel so bad for my video editor. Okay, then it was time for vacation and I took a solo trip to Switzerland. Not everyone can do that. I actually just had flight credits that needed to use that were going to expire, and it was Iberian Airlines, so I had to go to Europe. So I got an Airbnb in Geneva, Switzerland, and just like hung out in Geneva, took day trips out to beautiful places in Switzerland, like Interlaken and Bern and things like that. And just like I was by myself, you know? I was sleeping. I was just like, I walked a lot, actually. I walked a ton because I was like sightseeing and stuff. It wasn't really even a food trip for me. I just had like my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think I ate at a restaurant like one time. I just was really into this like little like Swiss grocer and getting these like organic fancy foods, and like it was a lot of fun. I didn't really do the restaurant thing. I walked a lot. Like I still ate and followed my rules, but I wouldn't say that it was like some culinary trip where I ate in excess of calories. But what was interesting was cervical mucus picked up a lot on that trip, about 3 days in, and that was the sign that I think I needed. That was the one that was hardest to listen to Coach Danny about, and that was the hardest to sort of convince myself I should do, which is, wow, I really have too much on my plate. I really am relaxing, and if it takes a solo European adventure trip to get my central nervous system to calm down and my hormones to set in motion, I need to menstruate, that's a problem. Like that was a problem. The fundamentals were in check, but clearly stress and overwhelm was still an issue for me. We are at this point, she's 13 months old and I am still not got my period back. Looking back at all of this, very little to none of this has to do with body image or had to do with significant fear of weight gain. Was that there a little? Yeah. Like, was I happy sort of just coasting, feeling like I'm not, actively eating all this food and being more sedentary than I used to be? Like, yeah, of course that was more comfortable for me. But for the most part, I was just like a tired, rundown mom with her own business and a consulting job that she also had going on. So I had to look at that and really try to evaluate, like, am I putting more on my plate than my body can handle? So that was the final thing, was coming home and taking a number of weeks to figure out how I can live a life that is conducive to having the space to menstruate. Like that's honestly how it went. I have all these fundamentals in check. My temperatures at this point are back up. They're where they need to be, okay? I get back from the trip and mucus picks up a lot, like a lot. I have not had a client ever tell me or report this much mucus to me. I was changing my underwear multiple times a day. It was not cool. Like it was not cool. I'm trying to get stuff done in my day. This is like a problematic amount of mucus. So for like 2 straight months, this has happened, okay? She's like 15 months old. 2 straight months, mucus. Every single day is like peak mucus. Every single day it's like, I must be ovulating today or tomorrow, like surely, right? And it just kept coming. At a certain point, I was like, okay, I'm now having like PCOS level, estrogen dominance level mucus, but it does make sense because I don't have a period. My intuition, my hunch is still telling me, of course, like you have HA, this is typical for you. Now it took a really long time to get the process to start back up again. So at this point, I'm seeing tons of mucus and my temps are back up. Things are looking normal again, but I'm still not seeing a period. What is the deal? Curious again about the stress thing, right? Because I had come home and made some changes to my stress. I had felt a lot more relaxed. I had now been consistently eating a lot better now for quite a few months. So I think the compounding effect of all of the actions I was taking, we're finally seeing the benefits and the results from that, but I just wasn't ovulating. So I ended up getting really, really stressed out again with work. Like this whole thing happened and I was just having like mental breakdowns, feeling like I had to get everything done. I have to keep this house clean. We were moving house. I opened an Airbnb right when I got back from the trip. I had a whole bunch of new clients coming in. Ashley and I, we've been working on this course course, like just tons going on. And I was just like having like a nervous breakdown at some point. I was like, this is just too much. I'm just super stressed. My calendar, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every single day I had meetings, like, and I was trying to make my life work for everyone else. I was having client calls and stuff all the time. I never had like a day where I got to like be off the computer, and if I did, I would have my daughter the whole time. So like I never got like time to myself to have space to like breathe and go out and like go to the shops or do something, or just do anything. Like I was just always like go, go, go. And if I have a spare moment, I should probably be checking emails, or I should probably be doing something like that achieves something. So I had to reach that point of frustration, like factor for me. So I actually resigned from the other job, like this consulting job that I had going on, which was a really big financial decision, but I can see that it was impacting my health. And I had to come to terms as well with this idea that my personality and all that I want to achieve is different to my body. And my body has a different personality and has a different agenda, and it can only achieve so much. And that just has to be okay. So I made some huge changes to work, and I now only meet with clients Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and some on Saturday morning. And I have Monday, Tuesday to like actually think and actually complete tasks and like work on our certification and work on the restore program that we have, and like bake bread. I bake a lot of bread and work on DIY projects and build things around the house and stuff. That brings me a whole lot of joy. And then it was about 3 weeks into that I ovulated. So I had made a doctor's appointment to get some labs tested, and because I was like concerned about all this mucus, like, do I have PCOS now? Do I have something else going on? You know, I go through all the same emotions as all my clients do, but I kept my head down and I kept to the plan, and I kept reevaluating, and I kept making changes until I saw the result I needed. I think that in the end, all of it was important. The stress piece, removing work from my plate, delegating to other people, literally quitting a job, and condensing meeting frequencies was huge for me. And eating more food alone wasn't going to be the thing that worked for me, or at least that worked very quickly. Eventually I may have gotten a period, but the actual cycle itself will definitely be suboptimal. So long as you are committed to having a plan and open to what I try may not work, and I may need to take the next step and the next step and the next step, and the idea, being open to the idea that the lifestyle you've developed and that you've built, you don't actually just like have a God-given right to have that life.
Okay, so literally in the middle of filming, my camera ran out of battery, and I was getting really hungry anyway. And I noticed I was starting to like skip over parts of the story and just was getting super tired. So instead, we are now making lunch, and I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna finish. Look at this bread that I made. This one is perfect. It's just like so. Oh, I made a second one too, and I'm all sad because I'm gonna make a chicken sandwich, and I have to use bread that I had made like 2 days ago, and I want this fresh bread, but I can't waste the bread. So.
Chicken, chipotle mayo by Primal Kitchens, avocado, cucumber, just like lettuce, right? Like on bread. It's just, cause it's so simple, it's so good. I'm back. By the way, you can order this mug. I send them to clients based in the US when they get their periods back, and you can also buy it online. So just so you know, it's at our store. I'll put the link in the description too. So as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by my camera's storage. I guess this is a long video. You don't have the right to like tell your body, we can achieve this much and this is what I'm gonna give you to do it. This is the problem that so many women are dealing with their health. It may not manifest in HA. It might manifest in different ways. In PCOS, in unexplained infertility, in extreme menstrual cramping. We as a culture need to stop telling ourselves how we're supposed to look, what we're supposed to weigh, and how much we're supposed to be able to handle on our plate. And it wasn't until I finally made those changes that I got the period back, okay? And this was such a good reminder to me about why I started this work, because that also wasn't my reality when I got my first recovery period. It wasn't as simple as just eating more. It took more for me. I remember with that one, it took me stopping doing work on the weekends. And I got into this because I just realized that it was just so much more than stopping exercise and eating more. That is foundational, that is important. But when we are at a point where the cycle's still not coming back, we're still gaining and gaining weight, no signs of progress, there's more to look at. And I think for many, many people, that more might really be a stress-related component. So look into that. Get life coaching, work with someone. That's part of why what we do is we do so much more than just look at your chart and review your food. We really care about what's going on in your life because that's a key indicator here. So I hope that this story was helpful in seeing that it's not easy for everyone. If you have a propensity to miss your cycle, to have amenorrhea, it's probably always going to be something that you need to be aware of. And just trust that if you listen to your gut, if you ask yourself, what would the coach version of you say, you will find your way out. But if you keep holding on to the fear and the habits and the addictions, you're just gonna stay stagnant. And I can't wait to bring this experience back into my coaching. And I love the ability to have empathy and compassion for other people and for my clients because I went through it myself and I continue to go through it. And it is okay that this happens to you, but what's not okay is that you don't take action to get out of it. That's staying still and not making changes to your life or to your nutrition or whatever the main issue is. Staying still is not getting you where you think it's getting you. You think, your brain is telling you, stay still, don't move, and we won't be in danger or the bad thing won't happen. But actually, the bad thing is happening and you're in danger. So keep moving, keep doing the next action and keep seeing the lack of progress as a sign that you need to take the next action. So yay, I'm excited. I had my period back. Inside of the HA Society, I was able to change my status back to I'm recovered from I'm postpartum. I did have some cycle parameters that I obviously need to work on. I don't know what my follicular phase is yet. Obviously, when you haven't had a period for a long time, you don't know what your follicular phase looks like. But I do know I ovulated. It looked really good. My temps looked good. My luteal phase was short. Unsurprising. Here I am having a lunch coffee. So I have some things to work on. I will reduce coffee. That has already begun. That is a part of it. I will be diligently doing some things with my nutrition, with my eating, my protein intake, my meal timing, my blood sugar. I'm not a big snacker, so I'm gonna incorporate that a little more and really just see how stress is just so big for me. I am so sensitive to stress. I just don't get it. I just don't understand. But introducing some adaptogens to help me with that, but also just making some huge changes to my life and how I experience joy and happiness and how I don't overload my plate with to-dos and delegating to our team. Those are the types of things that are really gonna help me. So I'll keep you guys updated now that I have my cycle with how those luteal phase changes go. I help women impact and resolve luteal phase issues all of the time. So I'm completely confident that I can get it up there. It was 7 days. It was really short. So I'm so excited to see how this next one goes. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, absolutely happy to answer them in the comments below. And we will see you guys next week for another episode. Bye.